Ajababung takes me to the cutting field, where there are notches on the tree for every girl cut.
We cut them, one after the other, on a mat under the tree. The cut girl is taken away, and then they bring another until we finish them all.
Why is it, I asked myself, that women who make up 51% of the world's population are still campaigning for fair and humane treatment in the 21st century, as if we were just another of the world's persecuted minorities?
The discovery in June that some 800 babies had died at a former mother and baby home run by nuns in Ireland, and that their bodies had been put in unmarked and horribly inappropriate graves, shocked the world.
It's a sewage tank. Why are there children buried in a sewage area?
When I look back on 30 years of human rights reporting, the majority of my attempts to draw attention to injustice and suffering, from Texas to Tajikistan via Ireland and Pakistan, have involved women.
وقت اللي اغتصبني كنت أسمع صريخة أختي كان الأمير مالهم يغتصبها يعني ما قدرت حتى أساعدها.
And your sister had with her a 10-year-old friend.
هاي صديقتي اغتصبوها 5 وبالأخير انتهت. تسحب المكانكي وشنقت حالها.
Are women doomed to be just another hopeless cause? And if so, why?
Well, with me now is Sue's daughter, Sarah Morris, who finished the book that her mother started. Sarah, good evening. I mean, you were very, very close to Sue, but I wonder if you learned something about her polishing this book up.
I did. I think what I really learned was how angry she was. And she was really quite a joyful person in many ways, but in the book comes through that she really was quite a cross person. And I think her reports on the BBC were obviously constrained by editorial balance and being impartial. But in the book, she really is able to let loose. And the thing that she was really angry about was how all over the world, whether it was FGM or honour killings, she was told that these things happen in the name of tradition. And in her eyes, it was so clear that it was abuse.
Yeah.
And she just wanted to scream when she would interview the father of an honour killings victim, who would say, this is just what we do here. And in her head, she wanted to scream, because why is tradition such a convenient excuse?
But do you think in the end she was quite an optimistic person? Because I thought she was quite an optimistic person. I read this book and I realise there's still so much to do.
Still so much to do. I think she was a really good example of a pessimist of the intellect and an optimist of the will. She could intellectually see that so much is wrong, but she had so much faith in humanity that she was optimistic in the future.
In this book, you clearly see how much faith she had in women, for the resilience. I mean, some of the stories, the Yazidi women's story and FGM, particularly, are two that stand out for me. And the determination, again, in Saudi to do something about the plight of, was that actually she was fiercely proud of other women.
She was. And although it's called The War on Women, and many of the stories in there are, don't get me wrong, absolutely horrifying and devastating, it's also called And the Brave Ones Who Fight Back. And it's the voices of these women who are doing incredible things to fight back. Like you say, the woman in Gambia who was destined to be a cutter for her village and decided to flee because she thought it was wrong, and now she's here in London.
I mean, she was absolutely the preeminent journalist who actually explored women's stories. And I wonder if you think progressively, as her career went on, she progressively sought out women's stories.
Yeah, I think she did. And also, as a female journalist herself, when she first started, there was nobody doing what she was doing. She really was a pioneer. She had no one to look up to. And she started at ITN, and she was doing things like the Chelsea Flower Show and following the royals around, which, as a strong Republican, just brought her to tears. And she's really, I think her legacy is is showing other women that they can do
Yes.
what she can do,
But
what she did.
But I wonder because you know, you were young, she was away doing incredibly madcap things. Some of her disguises were downright dangerous and so forth. Did you worry about her as much as she must have worried about you guys at home?
No, I think we were just used to it. And actually, I must say that she often would lie to me about stories. When I think later on, when I was a bit older and in my 20s, and she would say, oh, I'm going to Africa to do a story about elephants. And she wouldn't tell me until she got back what she'd actually been doing. I think I remember being much more worried about her as an adult than I was as a child. As a child, it just seemed normal. But we did always have this one rule where she would phone every night, well, whenever she could, get a signal, and the rule was we didn't ever discuss the story in case someone was listening in.
Right.
And all of that was actually quite exciting as a child.
If there was one story that stands out for you as one that mattered deeply to her, what would it be?
I think it was female genital mutilation. I think she actually had a bit of a renaissance later on in her career and sort of discovered this going on. And I think, you know, before she started doing it, people would pitch the idea of FGM to newspapers, and they would say, that's disgusting, that's not something we're going to do. But she just had a way of doing it that meant it was going to get noticed. And because
was so
of her,
persistent.
We've had legislation change in Parliament, and people didn't really know what it was until she started talking about it.
Sarah, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.